Hello everyone, my name is Andre, I'm a classical pianist, and today's topic is about why it's so hard to learn a musical instrument. Before I start the video, I just want to say two things. The first one is that if you think that this video is about why it's so hard to technically, physically play the piano or any other instrument, then this video is not about that. This is more about talking about the discipline aspect of playing and what it takes to be able to learn an instrument. And the second thing is like and subscribe. So if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you're trying to learn an instrument or it's caught your interest to want to learn an instrument. First thing I want to say is congratulations, you have found a new vice, which hopefully will allow you to become more expressive, and it will consume your money, your funds, and your time. So if you really want to continue with it, keep watching and definitely dale gas. Okay, so now on to the actual part of the video. What I wanted to talk about was why it's so hard to start learning an instrument or to continue learning an instrument. And it's really curious because I was listening to this talk about this guy who was talking about discipline and how you build discipline over time, and it led to other things that I was researching or whatever. But the main thing that I realized is that a lot of people, because as a music student, you get asked a lot or you get told a lot. There's a lot of famous phrases, which is, oh, for example, if you say, oh, I play piano, the first thing, which is probably very annoying to a lot of musicians, and if you're a regular person, I'm sorry, but the main thing that we get is, oh my gosh, I really wanted to learn to play piano when I was little, but I just never did. Ugh, I hate that. I hate it when people tell me that, because it's like, okay, so then why didn't you do it if you loved it so much? Now, I get it. There's financial difficulties. There's a lot of factors that I'm not gonna go around judging about. But it's like, okay, if you had the chance to do it, why didn't you do it? It's not that bad. I mean, yes, it consumes your time, your money, and your effort and your will, but it's not that bad. It's really rewarding to be able to sit down and play what you like. But anyways, there's always this misconception with a lot of these people after you're done playing a recital, or you show them a video of you playing and it's like they're impressed. They always say, oh my gosh, you're so talented. And it's like, well, yes, even though I personally always say that I'm not very talented, just because I consider talent to be another thing, and that's another topic for another video. But I wouldn't say that talent is the biggest thing that influences somebody to be good at something. Let's talk about the successful people in the world. And by successful, it could be anybody. It could be pianists, singers, entrepreneurs, anybody who's the number one in their field, or at least top 10. Because honestly, number one, I feel like that's, it narrows it down too much, and everybody works hard. So for all of these successful people, everybody thinks that talent plays the biggest role in you becoming successful. And that's just simply not true, because a lot of these really successful people, they've had to give up so much of their time, so much of their wanting to do things that, they wanted to do. Okay, let me go back and say that. These people have given up time of their own in order to achieve that level of success. And that's something that nobody talks about. It's something that, in a way, they kind of keep to themselves, just because it's something that they've had to, figure out, deal with, and then they throw it in the back of the trunk. They don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just something that they accept. And for all of us normal people who we just see the end result, it's like, oh, wow, this guy, he's so good at what he does. And yes, he's so good at what he does because of the fact that they have given up so much of their time and effort to become that. Now, I learned that lesson when I was learning the Ballade, which I tried to do for 30 days. I'm going to link the video in the description just because I get to, talk about my experience and whatnot. But one of the things that I forgot to mention in the video is that it's made me realize that all of these top number one pianists, Lang Yuzhawang, Jung Chang Lim, everybody who's really good, all these pianists that I've admired, Horowitz, Rubinstein, they've all sacrificed so much of their time. I mean, when I was learning the Ballade, I was doing maybe, an hour at the very least a day, and that was after a long day of work and dealing with a lot of people. But at the most, I would do maybe 4 hours if I really had the chance, and even then, those days were really rare. But I had to sacrifice a lot of my time, and considering that I have to do other things to make money, it it made me realize that a lot of these people have given days, not hours, but they've given days worth of time to get these results. And it just makes me admire them more, because in a way they are human, but they're also superhuman, because they have to say no to themselves and say, no, today I'm not going to watch Netflix. No, today I'm not going to hang out with my friends. No, today I'm not going to do this, in order to pursue that which is beautiful. So that leads to my second point, which is discipline. Now, when we all think of discipline, we think of this large word in 3D that's made of stone or steel, and it's just unbreakable, and none of us can ever carry it because it's so big and heavy. And that's not true. I mean, to everybody else outside, it will look like that. However, once you start to learn the idea of discipline, how it builds from a small little thing and then it starts growing into the big rock that says discipline, then once you understand that, discipline doesn't become such a scary word. Now, I've kind of read the book Atomic Habits, which I'm going to put a picture of here. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I read maybe about the first chapter or two, because it was for a thing in my bachelor's that I was doing. And honestly, I got bored. But essentially, everything that you need to understand is in the first chapter or the forward. I can't remember. Point is, again, I'm not very disciplined when it comes to a lot of things. But I understood that to build habits, you need to start small. Whether you're trying to lead a healthier life, whether you're trying to learn the piano, whether you want to be a more organized person, you have to start somewhere. And it has to be in a small enough area where you can say, okay, I can say no to myself for this time in order to do this. For example, if you want to start a new diet, right? There's a lot of people who will start a new diet and they will just go straight into it. And, some people can just go straight into it and actually thrive that way. But about, I don't know, maybe 90% of the people who do it, they start, and after a couple of days, they're like, okay, screw this. I can't do this. I want chocolate. I want pizza. I want burgers. And honestly, I don't blame them. Those things are really good. But in order to build this discipline, you have to start small. I was watching this documentary about muscle builders, and this famous guy, he was talking about how it was about people who were vegan, but they were also muscle builders. And they're saying that when you start to be a vegan, you don't immediately start eating everything vegan and no. They were like, no, what you have to do is you start small. Maybe you eat one meal a day that's only vegan. And then after maybe about a week, or once you get used to it, then you switch over to 2 meals. And then after 2 meals, you go into 3 meals. And then eventually your lifestyle begins to change. But these things have to start in waves, and they have to start small. So how does this relate to playing an instrument, you might be saying? So I have 3 students. One of them, let's call him Timmy. The second, let's call her Jackie. And the third one, let's call him Johnny. So Johnny is a 16-year-old who's been playing piano, I believe, since he was 10. I think I asked him last time, but he didn't. I can't remember. This was a while back. But the point is, he's been playing for a very long time, and I would say he's really good. I've mainly taught him a couple things here and there so that his talent will eventually, so that it grows more than it already is, because he's already very good. And so one thing that I've noticed is that he's not only is he disciplined when it comes to playing piano, but also in his school studies, also in his sports. He's in a lot of extracurriculars. I believe he does chess. He does pretty much all the sports, basketball, flag football. I don't know if he does soccer. But the point is, he's very disciplined in all of these things. Now, if you're a student who's never done any of these things, and then suddenly you start doing all of this, the routine's going to kill you, because you're not used to it, right? So he's built over time that discipline so that now he can handle all of these extracurriculars without it taking away his intention of whatever he wants to do in the future. Now, the second student, which I believe we were going to call Jackie, she's about 5 or 6 years old, and I remember the first year of lessons that we had, she was doing very, very good, and it was because the mom was always there with her. She would always sit down with her and practice, even if it was for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Any of those times where the parent will sit down with his 5 and 6-year-old to work will do miracles. It's like, it's like getting this cup It's a 32-ounce cup, and it's, you could say, okay, I'm gonna fill it all up in one, one serving, and you could think of that as building discipline. You don't just fill it all up in one. Even if you put in 1 drop a day, at some point you're gonna fill the whole thing up. So that's what this student has done. Jackie, now she's, I believe, in her 2nd or 3rd year of learning piano, and even though she will sometimes make faces and she'll sometimes fight me on, no, I don't want to practice, she still does it, and the mom is still there with her, and she's still pushing her to achieve this form of discipline, which leads to her being able to play the piano. And then when I see her face after the recitals, she's really happy and she's content because she has that gratification of, okay, I put in, a whole semester worth of work and it sounds great, right? Now, I have another student who I believe we were going to call Timmy, right? So Timmy, he's the typical piano student that all the teachers dread. He doesn't practice, forgets his books, doesn't remember anything. The parents don't work with him on any of the stuff that I assign. And it's not, I don't hate the student. I really like working with him, but it frustrates me, and I'm sure it will frustrate all the teachers who end up watching this video, when you have a student who doesn't put in the work. And you say, well, is there a problem with the way I'm teaching? Is it my teaching style? Is it, am I just not a good match for the student? And it's not that. It's just that the student himself does not put in the work, and it doesn't help that the parents don't push him to do anything. Now, granted, this student, he's about the same age as Jackie, so there shouldn't, it's not an issue of talent. It's an issue that the parents don't tell him, okay, sit down and do your work. And so, okay, those are 3 examples that I gave about students. Now, I want to talk about, what else was I going to talk about? Okay, so if you're still watching this, I lost my train of thought for a second, but yes, so this is what the video is about. It's talking about discipline, how you build it. Now, I'll give you a quick example as to something that I've done that has personally worked for me, and maybe it can work for you guys. If you're having trouble staying consistent with your piano playing, it's because you don't build the consistency to do it. Now, one thing that I should be doing is sight reading, because I'm going to start my master's soon enough in the fall, in September. So I have about a month and a half from the recording of this video to start sight reading more, because I'm going to be doing an assistantship where I'm going to be accompanying about 10 students or so. And for any of you accompanists, collaborative pianists who have done this type of work, you guys know that if you're not a good sight reader, you will be eaten up by this monster. So I'm going to have to start doing that. Now, how am I going to do it? I've been told by my professor to sight read 10 pages a day, which I have done in the past, and I've noticed a huge boost in my ability to read and to see things at the first glance. However, at this moment in time, my mind cannot process 10 pages a day. I had to build up over time to it. So, for example, if I'm going to start to build that discipline, I have to do it at least every day. Every day, right? And I have to start with something that I can attain. So, for example, if I could say to myself, I'm going to do 3 pages of sight reading a day, which tends to be about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes at the most, maybe 10 at the most. If I can do those 3 pages for about, a week, maybe 2 weeks, after I add, 5 pages instead of 3, it's going to be easier for me to make that jump. And then after 5, I can do 7. And then after 7, I can add the 10. Now, once you do the 10, even though to a lot of people it'll sound like, wow, that's a lot of work. Yes, it is. But you've built that tolerance for you to be able to do that, right? So how can you apply it in your life? Well, try it this way. Say, okay, I want to learn piano. I'm taking lessons and everything. So how am I going to practice, right? Say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do at least 5 minutes every day, whether I like to or not. I think Duolingo has done something very important for a lot of people when it comes to building the discipline of, hey, don't lose your streak. Think about it that way. If you want to keep a streak, or if you want to keep a calendar where you put a check mark on it, it's all very gratifying to us. So do that. Definitely start with maybe 5 minutes of practice. After 5 minutes, if you want to continue practicing, go for it. But being able to power through in moments, especially when you don't want to, is going to pay off in the future when you're already practicing for an hour and you don't want to practice. that's where the discipline is going to come in and say, okay, I can do this. And you push through and it's going to work. If you found this video helpful, hopefully I'm not just cutting abruptly to what I was talking about, but if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you liked it, and I'm going to try and make more content like this just because I hope that it helps other people, not just from a physical aspect of playing piano, but also the mental aspect that it takes. And yeah, I'm going to try and be more disciplined into making at least one video a week, a long form video where I talk about this. And if I don't ever do it, then know that the Masters is consuming me and that I am losing my mind. So anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.